Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Purple People podcast. We are here once again to talk some Minnesota Vikings football. With me, I have Kyle West over there in Iowa.
His internet's lagging just a little bit.
Yeah, his internet's real bad, so he's probably saying stuff, but we can't hear it. He'll chime in with a couple words here and there. We'll see how it works. But we also have Mr. Smith from wherever he is now. Who knows?
I'm back home in El Paso.
You never know where that guy's at these days. But this is episode number 233 of the Purple People podcast. This one is titled Gnarls, Barkley, which I had no part of. And I'm going to let Mr. Smith explain this one.
Look, guys, I'm not the pun guy of the group. I'll give you a reference from a movie since Adam's a movie whiz. You guys remember Inglourious Bastards when they say, oh, well, here's the order of who speaks Italian, and the last guy goes, I don't speak Italian. And they said, that's why you're the third best. That's why I'm the third best right here. Gnarls Barkley, better known as CeeLo Green. I just wanted to make fun of Matt Barkley today because he had a piss poor day and he got replaced by David Fales. So that's the reference.
Yeah, he had a tough game. Of course, you're referring to the Vikings Week 17 matchup at US Bank Stadium against the Chicago Bears. The game that would end out the Minnesota Vikings 2016 season and put them at 8-8 for the season. But before we go into talking about that game, let's run into some quick hits. Before the game, Andrew Sendejo, a safety that I really like. I think he gets dogged on a little bit too much, but Andrew Sendejo was placed on injured reserve, and in his spot, the Vikings brought up wide receiver Isaac Frichte, and he got to see a little bit of action. He had a nice tackle there to save what might have been a touchdown.
Yeah, no, special teams play today. He did well. And I agree with you, man. I was really hard on Andrew at first. I like Anthony Harris, being that I was stationed in Virginia for a long time. One of the guys in my old band knows his dad, so it's kind of a cool little mixture there. But he's played well in absence, but I think for Andrew Sendejo, you don't really know what you've got until it's gone. You kind of underestimate his value, but he's greatly missed. I hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yeah, he signed a 3-year deal, so he'll be around a while longer, which is good. It's good to have a guy that's capable of him on special teams and that can come in and play safety when needed. Even if they do find a new starter, he's a valuable guy to have on the squad.
Absolutely.
And as for Isaac Frichte, he didn't really get a lot of looks in the passing game, but it's always good to bring up a young guy to get a look at him in a regular season action. So hopefully this means a lot for his future, giving him looks for maybe even another team if it's not the Vikings, because it's good to see those small school guys come through Minnesota and find success. I like that.
Adam Thielen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sam Bradford completed 71.6% of his passes this season. It's written here that's a potential record breaker over top Drew Brees. Don't know what that means.
Drew Brees has held the record. If you look on the list, top 5 most completed, highest completion percentage, I think Drew Brees has 2, 3, and 4. It's ridiculous because he's always throwing. He went over 5,000 yards again for the season today. He's phenomenal. But just to jump on this, haven't said piggyback in a while, so I'm going to piggyback on this.
There you go.
You guys have watched the show. You know how I've grown to love Sam Bradford. I love what he does. I love his attitude. Kind of got thrust into a crazy situation, but a lot of stuff was being dogged on him for social media. Oh, it's dink and dunk. That's what happens when you only complete 3% of your passes. If your argument is one of two things about, hey, I like Teddy Bridgewater more than Sam Bradford, this is Teddy Bridgewater on steroids. If you guys remember the 2 years that he was with us, he didn't do a lot of deep passes. There were a lot of short, over the middle, and little slants. Sam Bradford's doing that just as good, if not better, than Teddy. And if you want to find someone else, get over it. It's going to be Teddy or Sam. I mean, it's all but written in stone. But congratulations to him. I'm super excited for him. This is a crazy stat considering the start we had and the finish to the season.
I loved as soon as we brought in Sam Bradford to the Vikings that one of the first things I said is how he broke the Eagles' record for completion percentage in a season last year. This shows that was absolutely not a fluke. And with your comparison to Bridgewater, the two offer a couple different things here. Where Sam Bradford's able to push the ball down the field better with deep passes, Teddy Bridgewater allowed for that ability to scramble and keep plays alive longer. It's that trade-off there. That they're not that different to quarterbacks, aside from a couple different things they offer. And I think that kind of ability, if they do have both quarterbacks available next year, will allow for some really smooth consistency. If something happens where another quarterback has to jump in, it'll be really clean and clear.
Yeah, I don't want to take too long on this quick hit either. You guys know I can go on a rant, but I totally agree. And I think, and this is what's going to be the biggest topic for us. We got to rebuild the line. Adrian Peterson questions. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Staff and all that stuff. But yeah, the two dynamics that you see, Sam, and probably the biggest thing about this too is 15 games. Obviously, he didn't start week 1. Is he stayed healthy the whole time, and he managed to do that because he's got an injury history. But yeah, you're right. Teddy's more mobile. Sam can throw the ball a little bit more accurate, a little bit farther. So it's kind of that weird balance. It's kind of your preference on who you would like to start. But I like what he's done, and congratulations to him. This is a hell of a task to complete, especially considering that he joined the team. If you think about it, and they talked about this today, he started out with whatever offensive coordinator was in Philly, got traded, had North Turner, and then he had Pat Shurmur. To do all that and still have this record is kind of unbelievable.
And he gave a big nod to Shurmur as far as his future. So it'll be interesting to see if the Vikings want to keep him around. And I always thought that was going to be what was going to happen. I thought that Shurmur was put in place to take over when this does happen. So it's good to see. I like it. I want to give some shout-outs to some people in the chat here. We've got Kathy, we got Tommy Gunn, Skull Vikes 5, we got Dorian Foley and Adder in here. We got a nice crew chatting, and it's great to have him with us, and Eric Smith as well.
Thanks for being with us, guys. The season didn't end as we all wanted and the team wanted, but it's cool to have all you guys interacting, especially on a good win today.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Moving on, Kyle Rudolph sets a franchise record for career touchdowns by a tight end with 29, and he is still a young buck, and he's got a lot more touchdowns to grab, so be interesting to watch him play as he continues forward in 2017.
You just helped me make a bold statement, sir. I appreciate that.
I like it. So it says here the Vikings have 3 players, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and Kyle Rudolph, all with 800-plus receiving yards in the same season, which is pretty great considering how much people ripped on the Vikings' passing offense through most of the season. I like it.
Sorry, I'm throwing this last thing in there. Reading this, 3 players, Diggs, Thielen, and Rudolph. We're going to get into that with the game today because I was very, very bummed that something didn't happen, but Sam Bradford almost had 4,000 yards, and it's just spreading the ball around. He threw the ball to literally anyone he could, which is really great. Which you used to see with Detroit and Matt Stafford when Calvin Johnson was there, kind of forced the ball everywhere. Sam Bradford's not like that, and I really, really, really enjoy that he spreads the ball around and gets to the open guy rather than trying to be selfish. But like you were saying for Kyle Rudolph, congratulations. Pretty crazy that he's only been with us, I think, 4 years, and he already holds the record, considering that I think his first season he had Christian Ponder thrown to him, no offense. So pretty good stat to have. And like you said, he's still young. He's going to grab a lot more touchdowns as the years go on.
I was really hoping for both Thielen and Diggs to break 1,000 yards this season. And although it didn't happen, they both had great seasons. Nobody could have really expected Adam Thielen to explode on the scene like he did this year. He always was a capable receiver who could come in and make plays, but he just took that next step. It's unbelievable to watch his development.
Totally agree.
Up next, we have Cordero Patterson, who is officially the first player in NFL history to win 3 kickoff return average titles. This was in 13, 15, and 16.
I thought he was going to run one back today, too. He's been phenomenal in the return game. That's going to be one of the staples that keeps him on our team, if not one of the reasons that another team might scoop him up.
Well, that at the beginning of the game when he had that nice fake to the outside and caught the defense off guard a little bit, he has that speed, and if he can get that route running under control and get on the same page with Bradford, man, that could be really exciting.
Bradford talked about that today. If you guys didn't watch a press conference, I tuned into every single one, including the Chad Greenway, which is cool that they gave him a shout out at the end and let him do a press conference. But I think Bradford was kind of hinting towards it. Bradford's not one of those guys that'll throw anybody under the bus and be blunt about it. He doesn't have that Mike Zimmer quality, which I wish he kind of did. But he said, is this the kind of development that you think Cordero's going to have to make in the future as far as his progression as a receiver? And he kind of agreed, which is nice. He's got the speed and he's got the size. He's just got to figure out what works for him, and obviously to keep progressing as far as route running goes. But that was a beautiful catch by him. And honestly, he could have called a touchdown today. I think the ball was placed just a little bit in front of him.
Absolutely. We have Dorian Foley with a bold statement that Blair Walsh gets re-signed with an LOL. Oh, come on. Let's keep on running through. We've got one more that I added at the end. The Vikings tied with the Colts as far as a record. So what they're going to do is there's going to be a coin flip to determine the draft order. And based on the results of that coin flip, the Vikings will either have the number 14 or 15 spot in the draft order. Of course, normally I'd say they have the whatever pick in the first round, but the Vikings don't have that this year since they traded for Sam Bradford.
Yeah, I read somewhere, and I didn't know that it was a coin flip, but I heard it was 14th, which is kind of sad. I was hoping it would be later, but honestly, the bright side to this picture is we get to pick sooner as far as the second rounds and every round after that, so we get a little bit closer of a jump to get talent.
Right, and the Vikings have 2 seconds and 2/3, right, I believe?
Right, and we're going to have even more because Adrian Peterson's going to get traded, but we're going to talk about that in another episode.
I like that the Vikings might have done what I thought the Cowboys should have done with Tony Romo. The Cowboys want to trade Tony Romo after the season. There's no hiding it. They are already ready to move forward with Dak Prescott. And I hate talking about the Cowboys on a Vikings podcast, but this is where it makes sense. Because the Vikings, although they held out Adrian Peterson and everybody wanted Adrian Peterson to show some fire, come out and play for the team and all that, maybe he was legitimately hurt. We never know. But either way, he's saved, he's fresh, he won't go into the offseason injured, and if the Vikings decide they do want to move him, then they don't have a damaged player to try to move, and it could be a valuable asset going forward.
Right. It's funny you mentioned Tony Romo in here. We've said this before, and we're going to talk about it a lot. Offseason, we got a lot of stuff. We got to fill space and time until the draft and all that good stuff, but I don't know. It's one of those things we'll never really know. You want to know if AP was really hurt. I think, in my opinion, I don't know anything about it. I don't have any sources. I think he rushed back too quickly. I'm not sure why he would be held out if we needed him. But then again, the first thing that my brain goes towards is if you're holding out a player, even though they might not be healthy, you're going to try to keep them healthy for the trade block. I'm not sure what we would get for him. That's why I made the joke. I don't think he's worth a first-round pick, second or a third. I think a fourth is probably the best. But who knows? This is crazy to think about, and I'll shut up here in a second. But you got to think, despite your personal feelings about him, like his off-the-field issues, you guys know I have kind of a problem with it, but I try not to let that get in the way of football. The guy's going in the Hall of Fame, and he's done nothing but run through people since he's been with us. So it's kind of sad and crazy to think that it's a very good possibility that he can end up somewhere else because I truly think it's going to happen.
But it's situations like this that bring back up the comments he makes, like, I'm not going to play unless it's meaningful and things like that. I mean, to the fans that bought tickets to go and play there, tell me that's not meaningful to them.
It's just like the NBA. I'm from Charlotte. The Hornets are there. LeBron James, I was worried he wasn't going to play. The Hornets are kind of competitive. They played on Christmas Eve. You go to see a player, like you're going to watch your team, but that would be like the Packers being 15-0 and they come into Week 16. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play. I still want to see him play, even though it probably wouldn't happen. You want to see the best players on the field, and for what you're saying, I totally get it. That would be really disheartening for somebody, especially in that brand new stadium. What if that's your kid's first game? There's a lot of scenarios where it's somebody's first game there. You come to see him, he's just not there. It seems pretty selfish, but we don't know all the details, so probably never know.
Adder in the chat agrees with me about the Adrian Peterson statement about the playoffs. So it's weird how statements like that can come back to haunt you in a way. Because even now, if he is legitimately hurt, you've got those words in the back of your head.
Right.
And let's move on to some game talk. I like talking about football games. I watch the football games. I come back here, talk about the football games. That's how this works. Anyway, Sam Bradford, we'll talk about him first because he had a real nice game. He attempted 33 passes, completed 25 of them for 250 yards, had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, trying to force the ball into Cordero Patterson in the end zone. Ended up with a QBR 94.5 and a rating of 114.5. Another solid outing from Bradford, who just continues to be an efficient passing machine.
Here's my rant for Sam Bradford today. These aren't awesome numbers. I know Tom Brady had a lot more. I'd say 8 more and then a couple less picks. But in a short span where he didn't play the full season, even though it pretty much was only 1 game, RG3 put these numbers up when he was a rookie, and I believe he got Rookie of the Year. Now, I know Sam Bradford's not a rookie, but the numbers stood out. 4-to-1 ratio as far as touchdowns and interceptions. Just a phenomenal day for him. And going back to kind of segue from the Adrian Peterson stuff, we've always been a run-first team the last decade. Now we're getting away from that. We didn't have that option if we wanted to this year, not because of suspension, but for injury. So Sam's been asked to throw a lot.
Yeah.
Insert the completion percentage being so high. That's what makes it so incredible because, you can ask around. I'm not sure about you or Kyle, but I don't believe we have a true number 1 receiver like a Julio Jones. But with the talent that he had, he's made people around him better. And that's what you ask for a quarterback, A lot of people can say, well, if this guy had a wide receiver or a tight end, or like in our case, if we had a line, he would play better. Well, I think to an extent that's right, but good quarterbacks make people better. And he's shown that with Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen had a good year with Teddy Bridgewater. Stephon Diggs had the most yards of his career so far. Kyle Rudolph had a career year. So shout out to him today. Could have had 4. I think he placed the ball a little bit in front of Cordero, which sucked because I think it was a pick in the end zone. But 3 touchdowns on the day. He had a passer rating that was awesome. So it's a good way to end the year. He did great. I'm still a huge fan, as you guys can tell.
Eric Smith in the chat wants to know why we're on about all day when Diggs didn't play either. And I think that is because of those statements. If it weren't for him saying that he wasn't going to play if the games were meaningless, I don't think we'd care about it that much.
I agree. And the thing that I don't like is just because you're given an opportunity to speak about it doesn't mean you have to. And we went back to about the media, about the controversy in Green Bay last week. Just because people ask you a question doesn't mean you have to answer it. I don't think that was necessary because that caused a lot of unnecessary drama.
Yeah, and it opens up the door for weird situations like this, which make you wonder what's going on.
It's so weird from the time he tore his ACL and came back and had that amazing season till now. He's been so up and down. It's so weird. I don't understand some of the comments and his stance on a lot of things.
Absolutely agree. Let's move to the running backs, where Jerick McKinnon put together a decent performance. I don't know. Why does this have him down for 1 rushing touchdown? Didn't he have 2?
No, I believe the other one was 1 rushing touchdown. I believe he caught one.
Oh, one of them was a receiving. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say –
because I know the one he ran out of the Wildcat.
The Wildcat's what I was getting to, yeah, which was awesome because it showed how elusive and how speedy he can be.
And I'll admit, I tried watching the game online, but my provider didn't get the game till after the first drive was over, so I missed the Cordero Patterson catch and the Jerick McKinnon touchdown. So I missed those. I caught the rest of the game, but I missed that first drive.
This was one of those games where you see you want to see the ceiling on some people and the potential that they have. A lot of it happened because a lot of times Jerick gets stuffed or he gets, we'll throw it out to the side, left or right hash, and then he'll get tackled immediately. He was so elusive and so speedy today, and that touchdown that he caught as a receiver was awesome because I thought he was just going to run out of bounds, but you forget how speedy this guy is sometimes.
For sure. Sam Bradford showed some speed there. 1 carry for 24 yards.
Anybody else about crap their pants every time Sam Bradford runs?
I hate seeing it.
I can't stand it because he doesn't look like he runs that fast. So please get down.
But he's moving. It looks like he's just kind of like jogging along, but he's moving.
He's so tall and frail. He's like a gazelle. Good for you, Sam.
Now, I wanted to give my donkey award to Matt Asiata for his 8 carries for 14 yards because that is not good. But he did add 3 receptions for 31 yards, which kind of offsets that a little bit. And so I didn't give it there. But still not a great performance from him. Also, we had Sean Hill, who carried the ball 3 times for -3 yards, which, when you think about it, isn't carries, it's him taking a knee.
Hey, he's got the same number of rushing yards as Reggie Bush.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I went there. That happened today.
Oh, you did too.
Sorry, guys. We're just going to include every team somehow on this podcast today. We've already covered Green Bay and Dallas and Buffalo now.
Oh, yeah, we're working our way through it here. We already mentioned Kyle Rudolph's career day, 11 receptions on 15 targets for 117 yards and 1 score. And we saw that Kyle Rudolph that just came to play. He tried hauling in everything he had, and for a guy that struggles, he is a guy. But for a guy that struggles sometimes to haul in a lot of passes on a regular basis, he showed a lot of efficiency in this game, averaging 10.6 yards per catch and having that little bit of a fight afterwards. I liked it.
That's the thing that we knock on him the most for the show is after the yards after the catch, he doesn't seem like he goes after. But today he was just trying to run through people, and it was amazing to watch.
Absolutely was. Cordero Patterson had the 1 catch for 39 yards. We talked about Matt Asiata. Jarius Wright got in on the action, got the ball thrown his way 7 times for 24 yards, and found the end zone. Jarius Wright, pumping him up.
It's a name you probably won't hear next year. That's my guess, but he's still got it. I mean, look at the game today. He was all over the field. It was pretty good. It's nice to see him out there catching balls.
Absolutely. We talked about Jerick McKinnon's 3 catches on his touchdown. Charles Johnson added 1 for 11, and Adam Thielen for 7. In total, Sam Bradford targeted 8 different receivers and had 7 different catch footballs. So you got to love that.
The rant that we wanted to go on, and I don't care about it because Chicago gave us this game today, and I'm not saying we didn't play well. There's a play that I'm going to talk about when we switch to defense here in a second that was absolutely incredible. But I really, really, really wanted to see Adam Thielen get 1,000 yards. I was super, super upset. I wasn't paying attention. Honestly, today I was watching Sam and I was watching Kyle Rudolph the entire game because they were just connecting everywhere. But I didn't see if they just double covered Thielen or if he just wasn't getting separation or whatever. But really disappointing because I wanted that milestone as a greedy kind of thing. Yeah. But it goes both ways. You know, if you're trying to force the ball, maybe Sam doesn't get that completion record. Obviously, the stats don't really mean crap because we sat at 8-8. We didn't go to the postseason, but kind of disappointed there. Really sucks for Diggs as well because, I mean, he just keeps getting better and better. And he didn't even play the full season, which is crazy to think about.
It's true. Kathy in the chat gave her game ball to Marcus Sherrills, had some good punt returns. And I wanted to mention that my donkey went to Sean Hill for basically just coming in and doing nothing. I don't know. But the real reason why I did is that because I wanted to give my donkey to a Hill and give my game ball to a Hill because my game ball is going to Rashad Hill. Rashad Hill was a practice squad guy down in Jacksonville till the Vikings signed him. Relatively nobody. And when TJ Clemmings went down with the injury, Rashad Hill came in, and you didn't hear his name all game, which is great.
Which is crazy. And before we switch to defense, too, is it the same guy that I'm thinking about that replaced TJ Clemmings?
Yeah, he came in for TJ Clemmings during the game.
That's the one thing I wanted to jump in. The name was clicking. It just wasn't in my head yet for a face because we never hear about him because he never played. But the one thing that we said about TJ Clemmings is, I guess his only attribute is he doesn't get hurt. He got injured today, which is crazy. Mike Zimmer gave Rashad a little shout-out. He said he didn't think he played terrible, you know.
No.
Which, if Mike Zimmer says you don't play terrible, that means you played pretty well in layman terms because he'll annihilate you if you play awful. But kind of crazy, man. I don't know what they're going to do with TJ Clemmings next year, which is really weird because even though he's awful sometimes, he's always in the game every time.
Skull Vikings wants to remind us that the little hole in the top of the microwave popcorn packet is for shaking the kernels out of it. Just wanted to let you know.
Man, we should start that as oh my God, I could do that. Don't forget a bold statement. Let's just do useless information. I'll Google that every week and I'll blow your mind. I might do that. Thanks, Skull Vikes. That's awesome.
Ruben Garcia thinks that Sharif Floyd might be a possible trade candidate, and you never know. But we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that during the offseason. Going to be plenty of time. So I gave away my game ball. I gave away my donkey. Kyle West gave his game ball or gave his donkey award to Sean Hill too. I'm not sure why he did, but he gave his game ball to Chad Greenway, and I don't blame him one bit. Chad Greenway's had one heck of a career with the Minnesota Vikings, and it's great to see him come out and finish the game with a win at home in front of his fans. He only finished the game with 2 tackles, but it was a great send-off for him. And I have his jersey hanging in my closet, and I'm never ashamed to wear that one.
Yeah, shout out to Chad Greenway. He wouldn't tell the media he wants to take time off. The season's over. He said, probably feels like the rest of us. He said in his conference today, I just want to put the season behind me. But, yeah, I think it's all but in the books that he's probably going to retire. I know he's probably got a season left in him, but he kind of hints toward it at the beginning of the year. I don't see him doing the Brett Favre thing where he just keeps coming back for 1 year every single. But
the problem is that he's got that competitive fire that he's going to want to come back. But I think that his family will be able to talk him out of it, and he'll be able to realize how much more he can do for the community and all that. I think that this is it for him.
Yeah, he's not – I don't think he's going to go in the Hall of Fame or anything, but I think as far as maybe a Ring of Honor guy –
yeah, I could see him in the Vikings Ring of Honor.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor might be something you'll see for him because as far as integrity goes, and I don't say this for – sometimes they take up for guys maybe because they're not as explosive on the field, but they're really great people. Chad Greenway's been productive the entire time he's been with us, even this year. And he's totally cool with going down and being a role player and letting Barr and Kendricks do their thing because they're the new superstars in the linebacking core. But,
he led the franchise in tackles for several seasons. I don't even remember how many.
And starting off I think it was rookie year, he tore his ACL on special teams. Like, that could be devastating. He came back, and he was just a constant. He was a constant leader, and he was constantly there setting the example. And Zimmer said it today, on the field and off the field. If I could have 10 Chad Greenways on the defense in all positions, I would love it. He's a great guy. So I think it's awesome. I knew somebody was going to give it to him today, so I'm glad he got a game ball from somebody. But I'm pretty sure I'm on board with you guys. I think this is probably going to be his last game as a Viking.
Yeah. Eric Hendricks came out and led the team in tackles with 10 total, followed by Anthony Harris with 8, Shamar Staven with 7, Linval Joseph with 7, and Anthony Barr with 6. We didn't see Danielle Hunter on the field a lot, but he still got half a sack and had 5 tackles. Let's talk about the interceptions, though, because those were pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
Xavier Rhodes stepped in front of one, and he is going to get stupid money. He is.
He deserves it. He's progressively gotten better. And Zimmer talked about it today, too. He said, he probably hates me the most out of anybody on the team, which is funny because he probably rides him so hard. But I think he's tied with a couple other guys for third most in the league for interceptions with 5 because I checked the list today. So he's up there, man. He's an elite corner. And as long as they don't go rogue and do any stupid crap like they did in Green Bay, they cover their people. I mean, I really like him being there. I don't know if Terrence Newman's going to be here anymore either, but I really, really like – and this is a segue to the other corner. I love Xavier Rhodes being on the team because he's not an idiot off the field. He's a good guy on the field. He plays great. He can mentor Trey Waynes to be that guy who matches on the other side because that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to happen coming up season.
Yeah, Waynes was the other guy that got an interception, and it's great to see that kind of relationship between the players because when Trey Waynes came in, he was that same kind of raw player that Xavier Rhodes was. He was grabby, he was handsy, he got a lot of penalties, and we're starting to see Trey Waynes calm down on that a bit as well.
And they mentioned that a lot in the game as well. Shout out to Trey Waynes for having a good day. That interception was definitely holding, but if it doesn't get called, I don't really care. I love it. He plays very aggressive. That's why I made the reference. I don't think he's as big and as tall as Xavier, but he's definitely speedy. So can't wait to see what he does in the future.
Linval Joseph had a nice strip sack that led to a Everson Griffin fumble recovery touchdown. An amazing play. I enjoyed watching that a lot.
This is the thing I was going to tell you guys earlier. Absolutely heads-up play from Anthony Barr. Anthony Barr had a little bit of down play a couple of games ago from Mike Zimmer. Said he kind of gets – I think stalemate or stagnant is what he said. And that was the funniest play of the game. Just a little smack of the ball, and here comes Everson Griffin's big ass running down the field for a touchdown. That was the most heads-up play I've seen in a long, long time. It reminded me last year when Anthony Barr played it. We were playing Atlanta, and he ran up with a cast on his arm, just knocked the ball out of Devontae Freeman's hand. So that was probably my favorite play of the game.
Another great play was a punt return that ended up hitting off a player for the Bears when they weren't able to recover it, and it ended up being saved from going out of bounds and being recovered inbounds, and it was a real nice play. The two other safeties that got the fumble recoveries, Anthony Harris, Jaron Kearse, I always love seeing these young players doing their thing.
That's going to be an interesting development as well. J-Ron Curse, he is huge.
Yeah, he looks like a linebacker out there playing safety. It's great. Those big physical safeties like they have over in Seattle.
Yep, that's exactly where my mind goes when you think of big-bodied safeties.
The Vikings only got 3 total hits on the quarterback, which is kind of disappointing, but 2 of those were sacks. It would be nice to see the Vikings defensive line have gotten to the Matt Barkley / David Fales combination a little bit more, but what can you do?
Wanted to give a shout-out to you, Adam Carlson, because I would have never heard this guy's name before today if you hadn't written an article about him going into the draft this year. Cody Whitehair. This is why we didn't get to Matt Barkley a lot today. He was everywhere. He's a great lineman for the Bears. That's something for the Bears fans out there. See, I told you we're going to cover all the teams today. They have a lot of pieces that they can get excited about for the future. And I don't like to give shout-outs because we beat the hell out of the Bears today, which is great. But I'm watching the game tonight, and I don't know what's going on with Detroit and Green Bay right now. We'll keep you updated. But Green Bay and Chicago and Detroit have 2 awesome running backs that they can look at the forward to in the future. There was named Jordan Howard. He ran all over us today. So this is why it's hard for me to give a game ball. Adam's going to hate me for this. I give my game ball to the team for winning on a positive note. Zimmer all the way down. I couldn't pick it. Rudolph having a career day, Sam Bradford setting a record, all that good stuff. But, it was crazy to see how – I've never heard of this guy before, week 6 or 7 when we played in Chicago this year. He's a damn good player. And it was hard for me to give out even though I really wanted to on the defense because the defense had so many turnovers today.
Yeah.
Couldn't pick out one single player, but definitely something we're going to have to prepare for in the future. He had a really good game.
I'd like to welcome Ruben Garcia to the chat. Johnny Green says that Danielle Hunter needs to start next season, and he's definitely made the case to do that.
It's going to happen. I think you're going to see him and Brian Robinson switch roles.
Could definitely be a possibility. If nothing, the time split's going to become even closer because he is just an absolute freak of nature.
Shout out to Brian Robinson, too. He's one of the guys who got a sack today. I always love seeing that crazy fishing sack dance that he does.
Oh, yeah, reel him in. Gotta love it.
Great.
There is no game to preview for next week. There isn't. That's it.
We finished 8-8. I guess you could call it winning record. I would like 9-7. I don't call it 500 winning. It's not losing, but it is what it is. The season was a roller coaster. And, hey, you know what? I'm going to root for every team that's playing the Packers. And I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction now. I don't see any team stopping in New England in the AFC, and I don't see any team stopping Dallas. And it's going to be 2 powerhouses going at it in the postseason. Shout out today, though. You guys noticed I didn't give out a donkey yet. We had a protester protesting the pipeline in North Dakota today, and I have no problem against this stance. You can go left or right about it. It doesn't bother me. I'm right down the middle. But doing this during a game and potentially injuring people really, really irritates me. Thank you to keeping the first responders employed. I'm sort of one. I'm in one in the military, but keeping first responders employed, fine. You're going to go to jail. I get it. The passion is there, but I don't like the guy endangering people in our brand new stadium. And I have to give a donkey to the security team. How the hell did you let this banner and all this equipment in there? How does the guy get in and rappel down unless he has?
I don't know how a guy sneaks in with that banner. That's what I don't know.
I have no clue unless it was pre-stage, which is a totally other security nightmare that you're going to figure out. But I did not like the fact that he got in with that. Shame on the security team for that, and shame on him for putting other people in danger because he was way up there today, way up there.
He was a Favre fan. What can you expect?
I was just going to make a reference to the jersey too.
I did forget to mention during the game, I did not mention that Marcus Sherrills had 2 returns for 45. One of them was a 36-yarder that set up the Vikings in nice field position. Kai Forbath made every kick that was asked of him. A 21-yard field goal and 5 extra points. So all in all, solid game for pretty much everybody on the field. That's why it made it so hard for me to give a donkey award to anybody, is because the Vikings came out and put it on a fantastic performance in front of their team, in front of their fans. It was nice. Nice way to leave the season. And you see a lot of fans on Facebook and Twitter already saying the Vikings are undefeated in 2017. And yeah, it's technically true, but you can't look at it that way, guys. Come on.
Well, I'll give you guys an update, and it breaks my heart to say this, but There's 157 left with Green Bay at Detroit, and Green Bay is up 31-17. Packers are going to win the NFC North again, which is disheartening. Aaron Rodgers has 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Matt Stafford has 300 yards with 1. Damn it. These guys locked in today. Another segue to talk about another team. If I wanted to be a real big weirdo and jerk, I could have gave my donkey to the Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins for giving away. If the Redskins would have won, I think the loser today might not have gotten in the playoffs. I think that was the scenario. Tampa Bay had like a 1% chance of getting in. But there's your update as far as the playoffs goes if you're listening live. It looks like Green Bay is going to win the division, and I believe
host the Giants, right?
Yes, they will host the Giants, and Detroit will now go to Seattle. So it's going to be a tough task for both of those teams because New York's kind of hot, and I'd never want to play Seattle in the postseason. Adam
Noir in the chat wants to give out some TJ Clemmings love, and we do this on a regular basis. Usually we do this with this disclaimer that TJ Clemmings, as written here, is a guy that's been beat up all year by the opposition and gets so much hate from the fans and press, but turned up to play every week in a position he's not used to. And we've talked about this on multiple occasions. He is that right tackle that, he was thrust into that position to start last year. And he did his best, and he did an admirable job, even though wasn't fantastic there. And now he was thrown into a left tackle spot where he just was absolutely unprepared because there were so many guys that went down in his place. And it's not that he's a bad player. I don't believe that. I really do think that he is a decent player and he can develop into something good, but just not a left tackle.
Well, we've talked about that on the show. Like Adam said, we rip him apart because he's got a bad grade, but what Adam just said, to break it down in a different way, you had no time to develop. You had to get thrust in as a rookie because I believe Big Phil tore his Achilles and he retired this season. And then he's playing a completely different position. And I think as you develop a player, you don't want them to develop bad habits. And I'm not saying he has them, but he has unnatural habits now from being moved around everywhere. So if I don't want to call it an excuse, but if there's a reason why he's had poor play, it is what I forget the username you said that's talking to us in the chat, but that's why. So I totally agree with you, and I will end that on a positive note for TJ Clemmings. We want him back. We love the line depth and all that good stuff. He's going to get looked at again, but maybe he'll go back to his actual side of the line next year.
Yeah, it would be nice to see him find a spot, settle in, get used to it, and be able to grow and develop there rather than trying to plug in and just fill holes for the Vikings. It's just not a good sign. And Detroit Lions interception right there that'll put a lock on it. The Packers will host the Giants.
Super frustrating. Hate that they wanted that. You can never count Aaron Rodgers out, but being that we don't have and I apologize, guys. We talked about it. I swear I put it up, but I guess I didn't. The social media question for your reaction against Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman, the little scandal last week. I can't seem to find it on there. I will take the hit for that. I apologize. It might be pretty generic. We'll ask around, but I think next week we kind of know what you guys think the season is.
I think what we should do for next week, I'm going to cut you off for a second because we're doing our awards. Yeah. I think we should let them give some awards. We should let our listeners give some awards.
That's even better. Yeah, exactly. The show next week, Adam came up with it. He's the genius behind the show. We're going to give the offensive, defensive, whatever, special teams awards, all that good stuff. I'll post it up. Actually, I'll schedule it right now. Who do you guys think?
Have them give an award for whatever they want, and we'll read off our favorites. It'll be a lot of fun because we could get some wild ones. We could get some fun ones. It'll be great.
Shout out to all the new listeners too, because we're well over, I think, 1,300 or 1,400. Yeah, 1,442 on the Facebook page, which is amazing. What we're gonna do, if you guys are new to the show, if you didn't get to us last year, the off season's kind of dry, and we're not gonna go for an hour like we usually do. Sometimes we will, depending on the subject, especially when draft time comes around. But like Adam said, we're gonna do awards. We'll try to find something on the subject that week. It's probably going to be more NFL related than just Viking related, but we'll try to keep it interesting for you guys. But that's a great idea. I'll put that up right now.
Well, the listeners that have stuck with us through the last couple off seasons realize that, the shows get a little shorter, but we also get to focus more on the stories that we have. And that makes it a little bit more interesting as well. And we can do a lot of speculation and analysis, projecting. It's fun.
It is a lot of fun. Everybody likes to play armchair quarterback, GM, coach, all that stuff. So this is that time where we can take that extended time. I have to shorten my rants on here, and I'm part of the show. Now we can just go all out in depth, and it'll be really, really fun.
I will paraphrase this because there's a swear word in it, but Skolvikes5 already gave away an award in the chat for the crap-fested year going to Blair Walsh's kicking. Oh, Blair Walsh not getting any love in our chat. Well, let's give an update on the Purple People Podcast Survival League, because even though the regular season is pretty much officially over now, the Survival League will continue through the playoffs, and guess what? We still have 6 teams alive going into the playoffs.
That's amazing. This
week, no strikes. Jesus and Purple People Eaters picked the Indianapolis Colts to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Meanwhile, Purple Waynes and Bleeds Purple chose Kansas City for a big win. The Aussie Viking picked Seattle, and I went with Minnesota to beat the Bears because I hadn't picked them all season yet.
Hey, there you go.
And the way it's laid out right now is that Jesus, the Purple People Eaters, and Purple Waynes all have 1 strike, while me, Bleeds Purple, and the Aussie Viking have 2 and are on the verge of elimination. They got to be careful.
So cool. Thanks, Adam, for setting that up, man. That's something cool we get to do to keep you guys involved, whether it be the chat or the social media stuff, whatever.
I have a lot of fun with it. And like we said, I personally picked out these prizes, and I believe Mr. West is going to include a prize with it as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Whoever wins this is going to have a good time, I think.
No doubt about it. I'll jump in because Adam gave a good stat today that you think about, but as the game progresses, especially if you have a brain like mine that just goes all over the place all the time, you forget about. But I'm going to do a bold statement here. And I think barring a really crazy injury that would end the season, or if he just has 2 or 3 seasons in a row where he's just like, damn it, we got to get rid of him, I think Kyle Rudolph's going to keep that tight end touchdown record. And I think when it's all said and done, and I'll leave it at a reasonable number. He's got 29 right now. I think he'll have 65 or more. I think he can do it. I think if we have the quarterbacks that we have on the roster now going forward who can be with us for 4 or 5 more seasons, because Sam Bradford's only in his 7th season. I think he's like 28 or 27. He's still got a lot of football left in the tank. Teddy Bridgewater's even younger than him. So, yeah, I'll put that out there. I have faith in Kyle Rudolph to keep that tight end touchdown record and keep it at a pretty good number.
So what do you think for next year, 15?
15.
15? What do you think?
Barring – all right, this
10?
This
10. How about 10?
I'll give him plus or minus 1 for 10. Yeah, absolutely. I can go for 10.
All right. Sounds good.
I like the red zone targeting, and he's a great tool in the middle of the field. He's absolutely – everybody – I hate saying it because everyone says it, even on TV, but he's a security blanket all day. He's just huge, and he'll catch it for you. But that line, man, we're going to talk about it. You got to keep that line. If that line gets going, it's going to open up everything else. And you got to think about it. We have – I know we have the worst graded worst rushing attack in the league. I think we have the worst line grade 2, which is crazy because we have good guys like Berger and Boone. But if that's what we had this year with that bad of help in those 2 areas, I can only guess it's going to get better.
I hope so. There's a lot of room for development. We'll talk about plenty of draft and free agency and stuff. Mr. Kyle West, of course, did something in the chat here where he says that he's excited for our coverage of the supplemental draft, which I do every year. I do it every year.
I love it.
And we always end up not picking anybody. But this is a bit of a side thing here. One of our favorite conversations actually came from talking about players in the supplemental draft, when we were talking about Josh Gordon and how I was very concerned with the Taco Bell drive-through story. And
I'm all about that. That's awesome.
That show was so awful and awesome at the same time. But it goes in the Purple People Podcast history book. At 233, we get a history book, I think. I just think that's fair.
Definitely.
But that is just about all I have for this week, I believe. We are going to keep up with all the news and everything regarding the team over on the Facebook page. And I believe we're starting to get a little more involved on the Twitter account at Purple People Pod. We will keep going all year as well on the Viking Age where I do my writing. there is no off season there. I will continue to pump out articles like nothing. Be doing the same thing over on Undead Walking as well. Just information aplenty.
Adam Carlson and Kyle West will keep you updated. Probably not every day, but I would say 2 or 3, 4 a week at a minimum, especially when draft time comes around. Adam pumps out this draft analysis on all these players. Kyle just joined on, and he's been writing articles himself, which is really, really cool that he did all his photography stuff, and now he's doing stuff that we do for a hobby. Now he's actually doing it for a site. That's cool. Check those guys' work out. They're awesome guys. Really sucks, man. We ended it. I love this game today, but I'm just so mad now. After 8 months of purgatory is all I think about.
Well, we still do have the Pro Bowl coming up, and the Vikings do have players there.
That's true. It's going to be a different format, like we mentioned a couple weeks ago.
We'll get to see Everson Griffin throwing dodgeballs at people, which is exciting.
Oh my God! I will find time to make sure I see that.
This actually does make the Pro Bowl much must watch TV, and I will make time to watch this. I usually wouldn't. Usually I end up watching it at whatever TV is there. I'll kind of like half pay attention to it and be like, oh, okay. This year I'm going to watch.
Absolutely, man. I want to give a shout out. I got 3 things really quick. Number 1, I hope you guys had a great Christmas and a great New Year. I had no calls about anyone getting in trouble or drinking or anything like that. Hopefully you guys didn't have that either. Glad everyone was safe. Kickoff 2017, right? So far, the Vikings are undefeated in 2017. Just going to throw that stat out there. Number 2, I want to give a shout-out to my family and my friends. I went home over the break, and I had an absolutely wonderful time. I want to give a shout-out to my brother, John Mark. But for whatever reason, my house has tons of football fans of all different teams. He's a poor San Diego Charger fan, so I'm sorry for you. Shout-out to my friend Shira. She's a Carolina Panther faithful. Had a great time with family and friends. That's what it's all about. Rebooted, getting excited for this new year. But most of all, thank these 2 dudes that I do the show with every week. I'm the guy at the bottom of the totem pole. I just show up and talk. So these guys keep it running. Check out their work and subscribe. I didn't put the banner up, and I realized as I went to point to it, holy crap, I forgot to put the banner up today. Go to youtube.com/Purple People.
Really? I set up my banner and didn't turn it on. There we go.
Yeah, see? We're all over the place today.
Oh, I'm all messed up.
Kyle West can't talk, and he's the only one who's got it up.
That's right. Go figure.
YouTube. I'm going to push this on the social media sites as hard as I can. As soon as we get to 1,000, this show is going to get even better than it is. And we're already here now because of all you guys. So thank you very much.
Yeah, who knows? With YouTube Live, maybe Mr. West will be able to get in on the action.
We're going to find a – just like Cordero Patterson, everybody wants to get him involved. We're going to find a way to get Kyle West back in.
For sure. On that note, I want to remind you guys that even though you are probably watching this on YouTube, there are plenty of other places that you can listen to the Purple People podcast. You can go and check us out on the Viking Age, where I post up the article and include the YouTube thing, but I get a nice little page view for it, so I appreciate it if you do that. You can head on over to iTunes, where if you can subscribe to us and have it sent right to your phone. Podomatic, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker. We're all over the place. If you have access to a mobile device or a home theater system with the internet or whatever, you are golden to listen to us if you want to. And imagine us just booming through your speakers, and wouldn't that be beautiful? You could annoy your neighbors with our golden voices.
I like it. I like stuff like this for trips where you go out and you have a day where I'm going to do some driving. This is a total time killer. Think of it like a book on tape. We're going to talk about the Vikings. We're probably going to make you laugh because I'm inevitably going to say something dumb. We're entertained. So come on out and subscribe everywhere you want, man. I know it's kind of a boring thing because we have to plug it, but I promise you the show will only get better.
Oh, yeah. We hope so as well. And on that note, that's all I have for this week. I want to thank you guys for sticking around with us throughout the season. And even if you don't stick around through the offseason, because I know that a lot of people, once the NFL season's over for their team, they don't pay much attention to the team till it comes to be draft time. And that's okay if you take a little break. That's okay. We'll be here when you come back. Or if you don't want to leave at all, we'll be here every week if you want to come and hang out. We'd appreciate it if you did. And in the meantime, I just want to remind you guys and tell Kyle West to hit the stop show button when I say to stay classy, Minnesota.